Good evening. Glad you all can make it this evening. And I'm sure our presenter needs no introduction to most of us. Mike Douglas comes to us as our section manager for the South West Central Florida section. So, Mike, I'm just going to turn it over to you and share with us what's going on with our section and ARRL as much as you know.
And who is that, may I ask? No, I always start out being silly. One of the biggest differences between Daryl and I is Daryl tended to be a little stiff-collared, if you will, and I've told him that, so it's no big surprise. And I kind of like to be a little loose with everything. I mean, I get serious when I need to be, but and I'll be discussing some of those things here tonight. I don't know when the last time I met with all of you in this format as to whether or not I told you how I got into this position, but if I did, forgive me, I'll just briefly respond to that. Back when I was affiliated club coordinator and attending all these ham fests with Daryl, it was coming to my attention. People were whispering in my ear, so to speak, why don't you run for section manager? The thought never occurred to me. And I was also getting it from the southern sections of our section. And they were urging me to do it. And I thought, oh, okay, what the heck? And figuring it would go nowhere, it would die a quick death. And then when I got the signatures and sent them up to Newington, and of course, the current section manager, my predecessor, gets an email that he has competition. And so I called him directly, and he said, you know what? I've done enough. I need to be at home more often. It's yours, is basically what. And so I scared the living daylights out of me at that point. And so that's how it happened. And I had no other, I had no contest out there. So come January 1, I became the new big guy. As far as section manager goes, as I said at the quarterly Aries meeting the other day on Saturday, I guess I want to say my method of managing is really not managing. I see this position more as a facilitator or coordinator. I don't really see it as a manager because this organization is grassroots and it comes from the bottom up. I'm here to take care of any concerns or as I affectionately say, I love to put fires out or prevent fires. I was a site manager up in Illinois, where I'm from originally, for elections. And my job was to handle 3 different precincts on election day. And that was my job. Deal with poll watchers, deal with irate voters, that type of thing. So I kind of see this job more as a fireman than really a manager, because I'm here at your disposal to do what you need me to do, whether it's within your club, within the section, with headquarters up in Newington. That's how, and this past week, they had a directors meeting up at Newington, and there's a restructuring going on up there. And I don't have all the details yet because I haven't talked to Jim Schilling or Mickey Baker yet, because they're still formulating what was going on up there. But there is a new hierarchy, if you will. The new director of operations is Bob Newman, Whiskey 5, Ocean Victor. And there's a new field services manager under him, Mike Walters. You may have heard about him. Whiskey 8, Zulu Victor. And then below him is Steve Ewald, who I'm sure you all know. and then below him is Leona Adams. So Leona Adams helps Steve. Steve answers to Bob Newman and to Mike Walters, and then Bob, he answers to Bob Newman. So that's the new structure up there. And we're still getting our baby steps right now as far as headquarters goes. And so I'm still waiting to hear what's going on. We've got a section managers meeting coming up the end of the month or first part of next month. And so going to find out some more, and I'll keep you people posted on how that goes. But back to our section, my biggest, not issue, but the biggest portion on my plate right now has largely been ARRLs. I haven't had any issues, but the section has had issues. And so that's been a big focus of mine right now, trying to get not everybody in line, but getting them all play together. And it's been coming together. Pasco County was a problem. That's come around. The south section down in Sarasota, Manatee, Charlotte area, I was having issues there, which Daryl and Ben had previously, but I think we've got those fixed. And a lot of that has to do with new appointments that I made. I replaced Ben Henley as section emergency coordinator with Norman Zanders. His call is WX4NEX. And he is, like me, the new kid on the block, and we're both learning. And I've got a Florida section manager and section emergency coordinator meeting. It's supposed to be the same day your open house is. Where the three SMs and the three SECs are going to brainstorm and see what we think works, what doesn't work, so on and so forth. So I'm looking forward to that. And pick their brains and have them pick my brain, which might be much about that time, but I'm going to enjoy it. I really am. I also have appointed new ECs. I have Tom Chance. His is W9XV. He's down in Charlotte County. Manatee County is Steve Park, who is a real smart. He's got all of the qualifications. We could send him anywhere he wants to go. He has all of the levels, even level 3. And I've just put the paperwork in a couple of days ago for the new EC in Polk County, who is replacing Christine Duez. And I have asked to become assistant section manager, Skywarn liaison for the entire section. And she was thrilled to do that. I did that at the section ARRLs meeting on Saturday. Some of the other, I had an appointment, and he had a new EC in Pasco County, but due to health reasons, he had to back down. So I've got a new one I have to appoint, and forgive me, I don't have his name in front of me right now. But the section is coming together in that regard. And if you have a fear, let me quell it here. As I said before the meeting in the open mic session here, that I'm not here to reinvent the wheel. I'm just here to put new tires on those wheels if need be. And that's how I look at it, because overall the section runs quite fine with some rough areas. And that's the rubber that I'm replacing on those tires. I have a lot of people on staff that are still there. Dave Hicks, Dave W9, the W4PXC, I guess, does the Eagle Net traffic manager. He's still aboard. I still got Doug Williams, N2DW aboard. So I haven't made total changes in the section. Back to, I'm jumping around here a little bit, but it's as it forgive me, it's as it comes to my mind. The quarterly section ARRL meeting we had on Saturday. We really didn't have an agenda. We made it kind of an open forum, and Daryl started it and I jumped in, and I had a question because I've been getting a lot of questions from amateurs in the section about the task book. And so I opened up that can of worms, if you will, with the task book. And I prefaced it by saying, back when I attended a quarterly ARRL meeting, 3 or 4 years ago, and Ben Hanley was running the show. And he said, in order to deploy, you have to spend about $15,000. And that scared the living daylights out of me. And as such, that's the reason I brought up the question. And the two SECs from North and South Florida, John Wells and Carl Martin, were there Saturday. And they set the record straight that if you do want to deploy, in other words, go North Florida or go into the next county, you really do need all the steps. But if all you want to be is a shelter operator, you probably only need 100, 200, that type of thing. You don't need to fill out the entire task book. So we had a big Zoom on that day, and I heard some applause over the audio. So evidently they liked what they heard there. Those are the kind of things I'm looking at. What is actually in the backs of the mind of some of the amateurs in the section, or any amateur in the section? If they have an issue, I want to hear it and see what we can do about it. But that was Saturday, and it wasn't that we had about 20 people there at the Polk EOC, and the next one, Bill N1 CDO has volunteered to do the next one in October there at the Hillsborough EOC. So we'll probably be doing it there. As a sidelight, I said I was going to tell a story here, inject a little humor. I was actually at your clubhouse on field day. My brother-in-law and I, Tim Peters, KW4AJ, he was my chauffeur. We did 450 miles that day. And we were both kind of wigged out. He had a daughter who lives in New Mexico, and she wanted to come back to Florida. So the Sunday before field day weekend, we jumped in his truck with an 18-foot trailer, drove nonstop 1,650 miles to Portales, New Mexico. Got about 6 hours sleep, jumped back in the truck, loaded it up, jumped back in, and then we were back here at 1 a.m. Wednesday morning, and then Saturday we jumped in his pickup truck and did field day again. So I was pretty wiped out after that long trip. But happy to do it. Happy to see the few that were there at your clubhouse. Dawn was there, and by that time I was pretty tired, so I don't remember the 3 or 4 that were in there at the time, but I do remember Dawn Drury was in there. As far as anything else in the section, as I say, I'm still on a learning curve here. My eyes are getting wider each day. I am not sorry that I am here. I'm very happy to be here and do this. But I'm waiting to find out, as I said previously, as to what is going to happen up at headquarters. It sounds like they're starting to listen to us down in the lower decks here, if you will. And there's a good resource for us section managers. I don't do it every Wednesday and Thursday night. It's put on by the section manager out in Idaho, and it's kind of a rag chew we have. And it can go on for 2-3 hours, and it starts at 9 o'clock at night here in the Eastern time zone. So I pick and choose when I get on board that one, but typically you'll have 40, 50 section managers there talking to each other and picking each other's brains. It's kind of helped me out along the way. I don't know. I think I pretty well talked myself out here. Do you guys have any questions or things you want to know about? I'm willing to answer them if I can.
You'll need to unmute yourself, and this is a good opportunity to ask Mike whatever's on your mind. Everybody good?
Hey, Mike, I have a question here. Bill Barron, W4MDD.
Hello, Bill.
Hey, a couple of years ago, it's been a while since I've been at one of the section meetings, but there was a lot of talk about incorporating and coming up with a complicated legal structure and then soliciting contributions and purchasing repeaters and all this kind of stuff. Has that died an easy death, or is that still in process?
I'll be perfectly frank with you. This is the first I've heard of it, but I will research it and let you know. I do know Aries Connect is dead and they're working on a new piece of software for that. But when that's coming to fruition, I have no idea. But I have just made a note about your question and I'll look into it.
Yeah, it was something that Ben was working on with Daryl. They were going to somehow come up with a corporation and a structure, and I'm just not sure what happened to it.
I think I know what you're talking about. I don't know the details, but I think that's kind of on the back burner now. But I'm looking to somehow get a hold of that document or documents and look at them and see what we can do with it. I think I know what you're talking about now.
Okay, thanks.
It was a plan book that Ben was supposedly working on.
Right.
And as far as Ben goes, he's still in the loop. And he and I had lunch together after I replaced him, and he was happy because he needs to focus on his health now. And so he wasn't bitter about that at all.
All right. Anybody else with questions for Mike? Biff? I see your hand.
Yeah, this is Biff K4LAW. Do we have a section affiliated club coordinator?
Yes, we do. And I've got to get a hold of him because I haven't heard from him in a while. His name's Steve Maslin. Hang on, I'll give you his call.
He's the president of bars. I know who he is.
Yep. In fact, it's kind of amusing. He, when he found out I was going to be section manager, he begged for the position. And I said, fine. He approached me. I didn't approach him. I didn't even know who he was. I had to ask Daryl who he was, sorry to say. But yeah, that's our ACC.
All right. Anybody else? Skip, since we're talking about Aries, do you got any Aries announcements you'd like to, anything to add to what Mike has said?
No, not really. Just glad that they'll be coming to the PSOC for the next meeting. We'll be glad to see them there and look forward to it.
Great. Okay. Be watching the Reflector because Skip's been putting announcements out on that, on what they're doing here locally. Any other questions for Mike? Anything else to add?
Because I'm willing to hear and learn.
Mike, what's the, and I know you've told us this before, but the best way to get in touch with you in case we do have questions or something we want to pass along to you?
You can, I've either my ARRL email at W4MDD@ARRL.org, or my personal email is Mike Delta Delta 330 @gmail.com.
Okay.
And my phone number is 863-585-1648. I got to get with Leona up there at headquarters again, because twice I've had to call up there and say they've changed my number because I got a new number and they printed it up wrong, and they did it a second time. So.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Mike, thanks so much for taking time tonight to meet with us. And thanks for dropping by on our field day, though we all didn't get to see you there. We appreciate you coming by. And hopefully next year it'll be quite different. We'll be back to the old normal again and to be able to do a great field day.
I will say this, that not to interrupt, but if this Zoom meeting doesn't go too long on that July 31st, I may pop out there and see you guys. So.
That would be great. I was just going to make sure that we invited you. If you had time to do that, we'd love to have you there and introduce you to our club members. And we're looking forward to it. We're thinking it's going to be a good group, and we're excited about the opportunity of being able to open our clubhouse once again to our members. So very good. With that, I'm sure you got the announcement today, but make sure you circle July 31st on your calendar from 10 to 2. Free food, free drinks. There'll be games and just a great time of getting back together at the clubhouse. So make sure you put that in your calendar, bring your friends, bring your family, and join us for that. Also, let me remind you that this coming next Monday, the 26th, will be the final, we hope, right, Biff? Virus. Biff, any surprises that night?
Not the only surprise will be that we will sign that net off into history that evening.
All right.
And not a month too soon.
Special thanks to Biff and Becky, his lovely wife, for hosting that for the last year and a half. What started out to be a 2 or 3 month deal turned out to be a year and a half deal. And then next August, just let me next month, the 16th, our TARCTalks will be on grounding, how to ground your station, what to do, what not to do, what's proper grounding. Lee KX4TT will be our guest speaker for that night, and it will be live at the TARC Clubhouse, as well as we will be broadcasting it as well. So have put that in your calendar. Mike, thank you again. Any other comments before we close the meeting tonight?
Just wanted to make mention of the new ham symposium that we're putting on August 7th. The Aries Races guys are back in business with their classes. They have a live class that will coming up, and it will come to an end on July 24th, if I'm not mistaken, Skip. And following that class, we will have the typical what TARC has been doing is we have a class following that class, usually a week after they get licensed. This time we had to move it 2 weeks, but nonetheless, we have a class scheduled for August 7th from 2 to 5. And for anybody that I know, I see Glenn on here, and I know that he's a new ham. Congratulations on finally getting your call, Glenn. And we will have our usual kind of introduction to ham radio that we give after the Aries Races guys teach them up and get them licensed. So that will be August 7th and 2 to 5 in the afternoon. And you don't have to be a newbie to come. I mean, you can be somebody that has questions or functional questions. We're going to have a real nice opportunity to test out some of the AV equipment and actually do some live demonstrations of digital communications as well as HF communications. So that should be a fun afternoon, and we'll have pizza.
Okay, thanks, Biff. Appreciate that. All right, have a great evening, and we will talk to you all tomorrow on our TARCnet, on the TARC repeater at 8 o'clock. Make sure to be there for that. Good evening, everyone. Again, Mike, thank you.
Anytime.
All right. See you all later. Good night.
Bye. Good night.